Sam's Top 10.
Hey guys, it's Sam. 2014's over! Hooray! That also means that we have to do the obligatory look back at 2014 and say what the best stuff of 2014 was, because bandwagons and stuff. Anyway, my list is going to have a little bit of a twist, because these aren't all necessarily going to be games that were released in 2014. They are, however, going to be games that I played for the first time in 2014. So that means that you might get a couple of games which were maybe released in 2013, especially towards the back end of 2013, which, you know, I didn't buy until February or March, that kind of thing. Also, please remember that I'm not rich, I don't have every game that I want, and I also don't get all of the time in the world to play every game I want to play, so there are a couple of titles that might have made this list if I owned them and if I'd played them yet. So things like Far Cry 4 and Alien Isolation, unfortunately, not going to be on the list. Also, I don't have an Xbox One, so any Xbox One exclusives, yeah, and I don't have a Wii U, so, you know, Smash Brothers is kind of out. That does mean there are going to be a fair few PlayStation and PC games on the list, but hey, that just means that it won't be the same 10 games that you've been seeing everywhere else, right? Let's get on with it.
Number 10.
As several of you know, I love Oddworld. Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus are among the best games I have ever played. So when I heard Abe's Odyssey was getting remade, I got pretty excited. The remake does not disappoint. It's true to the original, level layouts, enemy placements, etc. seem largely the same, but it has a shiny new coat of paint. It's exactly what I would want in a remake. It doesn't try and fix what isn't broken, brings everything up to date, and manages to make feelings of nostalgia wash all over you. One other thing that takes my breath away about this game? It was supposedly made in Unity, an engine I have on my home PC. It's really no surprise we're seeing more and more indie developers crop up if we now have access to the same tools professionals are using. But that's largely another topic for another time.
Number 9.
I'd have been on board with a Marvel action-adventure / 3D platformer regardless of the circumstances, but adding awesomely stylized figures of my favourite superheroes into the mix? Oh, that's just deadly for my wallet.
I know it's fiendish and I know it's exploitative. I know that all this does is have an RFID chip on the bottom that unlocks something that's been on the disc since the day the disc left the factory, but is hidden behind a paywall. I get that the paywall's a little more elaborate, and that, really, instead of a download, I'm getting a little physical figure. I get that, I get that, I get that. However, I still kinda like it. They've got me, they've suckered me in, but I don't mind. It's sort of like I know that they're hiding away things I should be able to access from, you know, just buying the game, but somehow I'm okay with that.
Besides which, this is a game I can co-op with the family. Infinity's perfect for introducing my 2-year-old to games, and thanks to the toy box, there are always new levels you can download and play for free, including several versions of Sugar Rush, because apparently this is the closest we'll ever get to an actual Sugar Rush game.
Number 8.
Is this cheating? This feels like it should be cheating, because, you know, they're old games, really. No, this collection came out in 2014, it's not cheating. Okay, technically I haven't played these games for the first time in 2014, because they are re-releases. However, they are the final mix editions of the game, which I haven't played before this year, so in that sense, this is the first time I've played this version of it. You know what? My list, my rules, I decide that I'm not breaking any rules, so, deal with it.
2 of the best entries into the Kingdom Hearts series, revamped in glorious HD with updated textures and all the goodies of the final mix editions of the game thrown in for good measure. Not only is this a perfect re-release and update of 2 of my favourite video games, there's a whole bunch of content that, outside of importing the Japanese-only final mixers, I would have otherwise never been able to enjoy.
Number 7.
I'll be honest, I never expected myself to enjoy Knack. I'd played it a couple of times at demo kiosks and been largely unimpressed, so when it came with my PlayStation 4, I put it straight in the I'll get round to you pile. When I did pop it in, however, I found myself glued to my TV for hours. It's fun, it's colourful, it's got a wonderful sense of style and aesthetic promoting unique identity, the world it's set in is glorious, and the game is brutally difficult. Okay, I started playing on hard from the get-go, but even on lower difficulties, basic enemies can kill you in 2 to 3 hits, and larger enemies can one-hit KO you. This game does an excellent job of having foes who are instantly identifiable and have set behavioural patterns. The game is all about learning how your enemies move and what they're going to do, then finding the perfect opening to attack. I've not played a game that has put this much thought into the design and placement of their enemies in years, and my word is it refreshing.
Number 6.
This was bound to be on the list somewhere, right? I think almost everything that can be said about this game has already been said, so I'll just make a quick confession. I could not complete PT. It made me and my other half so uneasy that we eventually turned the game off and uninstalled it. No game has ever had that effect on me. Let me just clarify, we did not uninstall it because we thought it was a bad game. We uninstalled it because it was such a good horror game that we simply didn't have the stomach for it. That's powerful.
Number 5.
While this game may as well be called LEGO Justice League at this point, I knew exactly what to expect going in, and boy did it deliver. Tons of playable characters, lots of wit and charm, and another title I can play with my whole family. LEGO Batman 3 also features Kevin Smith as a playable character. You can sell me any game where Kevin Smith is playable. Heck, if Mr. Smith had been the protagonist in PT, we probably would have finished it.
Can you imagine that? I actually want someone to mod that in. Just like going around as Kevin Smith. With just recorded clips from his shows and stuff, you know. An evening with Kevin Smith, just cut little audio clips from that. Put it in as you're walking around PT. That would be amazing. Someone make this happen, please.
Number 4.
If you like JRPGs, then you're probably familiar with the Tales series already. For those who aren't, great story, vivid anime-style graphics, and a fun, real-time combat system that still manages to pack a surprising amount of strategy and depth. If you think the genre is dead, this game will be more than willing to prove you wrong. However, I would recommend playing the first game, well, first, if you haven't already, as there are some returning characters, and you'll probably get a little more out of the experience that way.
Number 3.
The game that seems to be on everybody's list this year. It borrows a little from the Arkham series, namely the combat, a little from Assassin's Creed, as well as bits and pieces of mechanics from other AAA titles, and mashes it all together. Then it adds its own unique nemesis system. The result? Surprisingly bloody good, actually. I bought this game to tide me over because it looked alright. I thought I'd blast through the story in a weekend or two and never touch it again. How wrong I was. I'm still neglecting story missions just to run around screwing with the politics and hierarchy of Sauron's army. I never expected this to be a time sink. I never expected to spend so much time just mucking about in its open world. But that's exactly what I'm doing, and I think the fact that it surprised me this much has only made the experience all the better.
Number 2.
I love the Ratchet & Clank series. In fact, A Crack in Time would probably make a top 10 favourite games of all time list if I ever do one. I avoided Nexus when it was first released, mainly because All For One and Q-Force had messed with the formula in ways I hadn't exactly been keen on. Nexus promised to be a return to form, but I'd heard that before, and the reduced price tag it launched at made me even more fearful, as it implied it would be a short game which the developers didn't exactly have a lot of faith in. I got it as a Christmas present a week ago. In fact, the fact that I've owned it for such a short period of time but it's made enough of an impact to make this list probably says all you need to know. Suffice to say, I now very much wish I'd bought it on release at the back end of 2013. It is short, that much I was right to be fearful about. Everything else? I was so wrong. This game is a glorious return to form. It has everything you'd expect from any game in either the original or future trilogy. I beat the game in 2 sittings, and it was near impossible for anyone to pull me away from that screen. Its only crime really is that it's over too soon.
Number 1.
It was genuinely difficult to decide between Infamous Second Son and infamous First Light for the #1 spot. Essentially the same game, I know, but Infamous Second Son, bigger map, more missions, you get a wider array of powers, however you only ever dip your toes into what those powers can do. Video wasn't that great a power. I mean, really, what kind of power is video? And additionally, the concrete power you only get at the very, very, very end of the game. In fact, it's during the last boss fight, spoilers, sorry. But you don't really use it that much, even in the post-game. This, on the other hand, you only get the neon power. However, one, the neon power was the coolest power in Second Son, definitely the one I used throughout the majority of the game, and additionally, because you've only got the neon power, you get to explore its full potential. You get to see what the neon power can really do when you master it, and that felt amazing. Additionally, this has got the amazing arena mode, where you can go in and you can test your skills against countless waves of enemies. It's fast, it's frantic, it adds a lot of replayability, it's amazing. What I can't get past, though, is the fact that this isn't really a full game. This was always intended as an add-on, as a bit of DLC that just so happened to get a disc release. It's also got half the map to roam around, and it's generally a lot shorter.
In the end, Second Son won out. No game has done as good a job of making me feel like a superhero. It also had some amazing boss battles, and the open world is simply gorgeous. I played both Second Son and First Light to 100% completion, nabbing the platinum trophies for both games, something I rarely take the time to do. And even after that, I still boot them up for half an hour's prattling about and having fun now and then. This game has some of the best graphics and lighting I have ever seen. The streets always seem busy, and the constant presence of enemy soldiers, who will shoot you on sight, truly makes you feel like you're being hunted down and persecuted simply for being scarily powerful. The game also runs like silked butter. I have no idea what the actual frame rate was, however Second Son had an immediately visible lead on pretty much every other PS4 game I've played so far. If you're in Europe and you've got PlayStation Plus, you'll get First Light as one of your 6 games on January 7th. Make it a priority to play it.
So there we have it, those are my top 10 games of 2014, albeit not all of them were released in 2014, admittedly. What were your favourite games of the past year, and what are you looking forward to in the year coming up? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.